Welcome, guys. Uh, I'm going to demonstrate how to set up a three-node innodb cluster on mysql 5.7, and I'll also demonstrate how to set up a group replication between the three nodes. And towards the end of the presentation or demo, I will also demonstrate how to set up a mysql router to 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 load balance connectivity with the multiple instance of databases. Right. So I'm a fan of tools like Vagrant and Ansible, which make your life very easy. And as you see here, I've got three machines here. These three machines are running on on CentOS 7. And I'm going to install MySQL on all these three machines first. And then I'll continue with configuring the innodb cluster, right? So the first thing is I'm going to deploy MySQL binaries to all the three machines. That requires me to set up a yum repository. Um, so I'll use Ansible to automate some of these processes. So I'll say Ansible. Let me directly put the host file. Okay. My host file may not be the right one, so I'm going to remove my host file. If you look at my ansible.scfg, you will see that I'm pointing to this host file, which is here, right? Now this is actually a file cat.vagrant provisioners ansible inventory, and this is the inventory file I'm looking at. Just to check my ansible setup, I'll say ansible all minus m ping. I'm going to use a ping module to see that I'm able to ping to all these nodes. Okay, looks good. So what I'll do now is I will straight away install the ansible. I'll install the mysql repo first, followed by the installation of mysql binaries. Right, so there you go. Ansible all minus m yum minus a ekg equal to the um, link to the repo rpm. This will install the repo on all the machines. So let's wait here. All right, so here we are. Now this repo provides you all the necessary link to the binaries. We have to make sure that we install version 5.7 and nothing higher. And the latest version of MySQL is version 8, but we will stick to version 5.7. Right, so just to check it out, I'm going to connect to one of the machines. All right, so yum search MySQL. There you go. I've got a couple here. My only worry is that if I install uh, the MySQL community server, it may go ahead and install version 8, which is not what I want. So let me go and inspect the yum.repos.d and look at the mysql community.repo, and you will see things like this, right? So I've got different versions here. So, and I do not want to look at version 8. If you'll see, by default version 8 is enabled. I'm going to change it to 0, and I'm going to hold on to version 5.7. I'll set it at 2.1. With this change, it is only going to um, install the version 5.7. Right? I need to copy this file to all the other machines. Right? So, well, I could still automate this using Ansible, but I'll just, for the sake of brevity, I'll just copy these files to the other machines. So I'll say, let me see if my host entries are good. Okay, I'll say scp um, mysql-community.repo to vagrant at node1.ruby.local /etc yum.repos.d and same name repo. I don't think I have rights to do that. So let me first copy to TMP and then I'll copy it from there. Password is vagrant. Oops. Denies the permission. Okay, let me figure out ways to do it. See, vagrant poses lot of restrictions. It doesn't allow you to do password communication. It's all right. So let me just do it manually in that case. I will connect to node 1 and same thing. I will enable version 5.7 and disable version 8. Exit. Exit. Repeat this for node 2. I have a problem with my space key. So sometimes the response is poor. Alright, so again, like what I pointed out before, I'm going to disable this. I'm going to enable this. That's all. Once this is done, my next step is to install MySQL Server and other related products. So let me start installing. I'll say Ansible -a all -n. I'll not use the yum module, I'll use a shell module -a and I will run this. And this is all I need on each machine. Let's see what happens. This takes a little bit of time. Okay, so after waiting for some time, uh, my yum command is completed. So now, if you have worked with MySQL, you will realize that uh, when MySQL is installed, it is installed with a temporary password. So we need to set up a more complete password. So this one I have to go to each machine. So vagrant SSH master. I say cat var log mysql.log. Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to start the services and set up the services. So I'll start the first of all. Let me list down what services I have here. So I'm going to run a command here to find out what services have been installed. So I'll say rpm minus qa and look for mysql, right? And then run. What do I get? Let's see. All right. So every machine has a server component, and I'm very sure there is a utility called mysqld which must be started. So what I'll do, I'll use a different module called service, and I'll call this name equal to mysqld, state equal to started, enabled equal to true, right? So this essentially will start the mysqld service and set it up for true. So as you see, Ansible is a beautiful utility which helps you in automating a lot of things. Now, once this is done, once the SQL server is started, it automatically creates a temporary password, and you're required to reset the password to a more usable password. So I'll say at varlog mysqld, and you will realize that right in the beginning it says a temporary password has been generated. So this guy is my password. So all I need to do is I have to run mysql underscore secure installation, and I have to paste the password and set up a new password. Follow the defaults and reload the privilege table, and you're done. You have to repeat this for all the other machines. So I'll go ahead and do it for node 1 and node 2. Again, cat var log mysqld.log, and this is my password. Same. All right. Right. Continue. Last is for the node 2, and that's my password here. All right. So we are done with the installation of MySQL. We have started the service, and we have set up the start and auto start of the service. Right now, the next thing is to install a utility called MySQL shell, and the MySQL shell utility have to be installed using using a yum command, and the package name itself is mysql-shell. So same thing, Ansible all -m yum -a pkg equal to mysql shell state equal to present. These all commands are running under root privileges, and this is something that you can set in the ansible.cfg file. For all the Linux professionals, I strongly recommend that we get very familiar with tools like Ansible. You can choose a tool of your liking, Ansible, Puppet, or whatever you want to do. But doing things manually is not the fashion anymore. Just bear in mind. All right. So next step now is to set up the um, installing the MySQL router. MySQL router is, as the name suggests, it's a router that will be used uh, to route to the backend database service, right? So as you will notice now, MySQL router is a package called mysql-router. So I'm going to do the same thing. It is called mysql-router, and I'm going to install it. All right. Once all these things get installed, the next step is to perform a production deployment of innodb cluster. So basically, it's a multi-node innodb cluster, and I will start the installation from the master node. So master, right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run mysql sh with a higher debug level 3, right? So by default, mysql shell starts with javascript. You can change it to mysql. You can change the verbosity here. So I'm going to change the verbosity so that we see more of this stuff here. Paste. All right, so verbosity is 2. Now what I'm going to do is to check the instance configuration. Oh, one of the things I noticed that Vagrant does, and which will prevent the installation, is when I go to etc hosts, I realize that the first line is, if you see the first line, it is setting up the loopback address to the machine name, and this will cause things to fail. I'm going to delete this line. I need to do this for other nodes also, but right now I'll just do a check configuration of what I have here. So same thing, brought it up, and I'm going to set the debug level to again 2. Having a higher debug level or verbosity level will give you more output as you go ahead with the installation. So now I'm going to run the command tba.check instance configuration. The idea is to check the configuration of the machine, whether it is good for root at master.ravi.local colon 3306, which is my machine name, port number. Asks me the password. I'm supplying the password. All right. So it says master.ravi.local is not allowed to connect to this MySQL server. So to troubleshoot that, I will try to run this command: mysql -u root -h master.ravi.local -p. I'll key in my password. Now I'm not allowed. Let me try with localhost, and let me check out if I can connect. I'm good, right? So basically, I need to configure MySQL to accept connection as a hostname. Now this is a MySQL thing. Let me check what I can change here. Let me check the CNF file, and nothing interesting here. Let me check out which port it is listening on. 06, and it's listing on all the ports. So basically, I have to create the user and set up the configuration so that user root is able to connect to MySQL on the host name. All right, so let's do that. All right, so the steps that I have to take is I have to first connect as whichever user I can, right? And all right, I'm here. So what I'll do now is I'm going to give rights now and then test out if this works. So I'm going to say create user, and I'll key in my password that I've been using. All right, and then I'm going to grant all the privileges to this user, right? And fresh privileges, and I'm going to quit, and let's see whether I'm able to connect. -h and master local. Looks good. So I believe I have to do this for other boxes also, but for now let me continue with this box first. Right, so same thing. I'm going to run this command. Then same thing. Not able to do a reverse search here, so it's fine. I'll put the verbose level to 2 again. Alright, so once I've done this, I'm going to check the configurations. So the same command, if you remember, which I used last time. Copy, paste. I'm just copying and pasting from my buffers. Okay, so root. It is always a good idea to use a non-root user, but I am violating the rule here. Right. I'm going to save it. The count root at, okay, missing global privileges grant option. Okay, let me fix this. I think what I need to do is this with grant option, which I think I missed previously. Right now, if this works now. Right. Okay, so same thing again, and the verbose level to 2. And same thing, I'm going to do this dba dot check configuration. and root h master.ravi.local colon 3306. Looks good. Right, so there are certain things that needs to be changed. So now we have to configure the instance, and actually I need to use the same command. Instead of check instance, it's going to be configure local instance. Right, I think this is what I need. Let me check my command set. Since I'm doing local instance, I don't need to write this. I just say localhost password. All right. Server needs to be restarted. So I'll just go and restart. All right. So this is up. The next step is to create the cluster. So now I'll say mysql search minus URI. Um, this URI is going to be root at master.ravi.local colon 3306, and there you go. I'm here. I'll say var cluster equal to dpa dot create cluster, and I'm going to call it prod cluster, and let's see if this works. Cluster successfully created. Now to check if everything is good, cluster get name looks good, and I'm getting the command wrong, but that's fine. So my cluster is up now. I need to get out of this machine or leave it here and open another connection. I will split it horizontally and drag it up. I need to prepare node 1 now, likewise. Right, so vagrant SSH node 1. Let's find out what all we did. Remember, we had issues with MySQL writes, SP here, and we did create some, we created the root user, and then we gave him all the privileges with grant option. Copy, paste with grant option, flush privileges. Alright, we should be good. That's not enough. Remember, we had an issue with the host file. Remove the first line there. This is only if you are facing this issue. Now, if you have this, then we can quickly check what's going on here. And I had to get the consistency check for my from a cluster perspective, mysql sh. And remember, I used the command log level 3, right? And then dba dot purpose equal to 2, right? Once that is done, I have to check the instance configuration. So I'll run this particular command, bracket root at node 1 dot ravi local colon 3306, right? Save it. It has got couple of things that it needs to change. So like what we discussed, what was the command? The command was to configure the instance, right? So it was configure local instance, and it was for localhost. When we do this, remember we write localhost by the password. I need to restart the services for this to take effect. So as you see, we have already created the cluster, and I'll go back to my master and see whether I'm able to get stuff done. Alright, so I'm going to say cluster dot add instance, and I'm going to add the other node. So it will be root at node 1 dot ravi dot local colon 3306. Now we have to make sure that our firewalls are either set up properly or off. So nctl status firewall d off. Yeah. So I should not have problem running this. All right. By the password suitable, and it is adding it. Okay, so I've got some warnings which I need to handle later on. For now, I'll just copy them and keep them on my notes somewhere so that I can handle this if this causes me problem in future. So I'm going to just put it in my notes. Okay, so I'm back. Likewise, I have to do the same activity for node 2. So what I'm going to do is come out of node 1 and then run similar steps. So second ssh node 2 and become root di etc hosts. Remove that first line, it was disturbing. And then likewise, okay, so let me again do the same thing. Okay, okay, okay. It's done. I'll go and set up the local instance and find out what I need to do. So, same thing. All right, and let's check out dba.verbose equal to 2. Perform a check instance. I'm copying relevant commands from documentation. There's a couple of things which are missing. Same command, and this is the third time we are doing, so we should know what we are doing. Right, and we'll change it to localhost. Okay, speaking changes, and it again we have to restart the service. This is done, we should be good, and I'll go to the top screen now, and I'm going to add node 2. Okay, okay, now once this is done, we've already created cluster and we've already added the instances, and all is well. Let's get some we can get the cluster status by tapping this. It shows very clearly that I've got a 3 node cluster quite beautifully. Now the question is, how do you access the cluster? So what we need to do is we need to configure a router. Now you've got 3 nodes where you can whatever you do, you'll be able to replicate your data across to all the 3 nodes. right? But from a accessibility perspective, you need to have a router in place, right? So what you need to do is you need to run routers. So I'm going to run a router here. I'll create a router on master. I'll call it mysql router. Minus bootstrap root at .ravi.local colon 3306. Default port of mysql, and say minus user equal to mysql router. Right, so as you see, the read write connection will be available on 6446, and read only will be 6447. X protocol connection will be read write on 64460, 64470. Right. Now what I'll do is I'll start the MySQL router. I've only set it up, so all I need to do is install the MySQL router. Rightfully, we should create a systemctl service that also can be created and kept. And there you go, MySQL router is here. And once the MySQL router runs, what we will do now is we'll try to connect. I'll say mysql sh minus URI at root at master.ravi.local colon 6446, right? 6446, and it is asking for password. You may want to save or may not want to save. Now what I'll do is I'll connect to SQL mode. Let's just show databases. Create database Ravi. Here you go. And select it at port. That's the port number it has connected to. Uh, so this is how it works. And okay, so let me exit out of this. If you look at your port numbers, that's that minus TPLN, and if I grep for 644, see it is listening on 6446, 6447, 64460, 64470, right? Now this router is actually load balancing your request to all the three databases which are replicated, right? Now having one router is also a single point of failure. So what you could do is you could run one more copy of router, and you could do it on the other machine, right? So all I need to do is I'll just copy this command. I have to change the host names. I will additionally run it on node 1, right? So if you look at my node 1 uh, or node 2, doesn't matter. So I'm on my node 2 and I'm going to paste this and just change the host name. Right? Have the password. It's wrong maybe. All right. And then my SQL router, and I run it in the background. That's it. And again, if I do netstat minus tlpn at 644, you will see that all these ports are up. Same way, mysql sh minus minus URI root at node 2 dot ravi dot local colon 6446, right? And that's how you connect. Password. I'm connected, right? And if I say show databases, oh, sorry, I have to change it to SQL mode, and then I can databases. And see, the Ravi database is available. If I say select get port, I'm connected to 3306 and hostname master. But this could be any other server. So if I were to go to master and master LC system CTL, stop mysqld, right? And see what happens here now. I'm waiting for my mysql to stop. So it will cause an election. And then you see it's connected to node 2. That's wonderful, right? That's how it works. It won't fail back as far as I know. But for future connections, it will automatically um, load balance between the three. So this was a very basic demonstration of setting up innodb cluster with mysql router. There is one more task that needs to be done. The calling application needs to be able to seamlessly connect to one of the available mysql routers, which means if a mysql router goes down, the other mysql router should take up. So I'm going to modify this presentation with setting up a keep alive d. Linux comes with this utility called keep alive d. So I'm going to install this keep alive d um, on both the nodes, and the other node as well. Let me quit. Yum minus y install keep alive d, and I intend to use keep alive d to be able to seamlessly failover between the MySQL routers. But that's for the next presentation. I will stop this presentation for now. Um, Forgive me for any mistakes or troubleshooting that I've done in front of you, but I think this will more or less serve the purpose of those guys who are looking at setting up a MySQL DB cluster in an active mode with two instances of SQL router running. Thank you and see you again. Bye bye.